Hello, welcome to Have a Tea with me. My name is Chris. This is the Lesson Jigsaw channel. We are here for English language conversation practice. If you are learning English and you wish to practice speaking English, practice your conversation skills, we are here for you. We are here every day, Monday to Friday, at 12 o'clock Universal Time. Well, more or less, yeah, more or less. 12 o'clock Universal Time. And yeah, here for practice for you. In a moment, you'll see a link in the chat and in the comments. And all you do is click on that, and you can come through to the studio, and you can come through onto the stream and practice. It's as simple as that. Um, we can talk about whatever you like to talk about to practice. Maybe there's some particular words or things you need to practice, or you want to practice particular situations or moments and like rehearse them in a way, or just have general chit chat. It's up to you. So say, click on this link to chat during the live stream. Okay. So there is the link. Now, if you're watching on Twitter, you won't be able to see that, but certainly on YouTube and Facebook, you will have you'll have access to that. So there's should be no problems there coming through. So yeah, tell me how are you today? How are you today? What's happening in your world today? Any plans, any news, any things that you're going to do today or have done today or this week maybe? Of course, depending on where you are, maybe you're getting ready for bed, or maybe you're waking up, or maybe you're having lunch. All over this fine world. So yes, lots of different possibilities of what people can be doing. But yeah, let me know. Let me know what you're doing, how you're feeling, what's on your mind. What's on your mind? What's on your mind? So basically, what are you thinking about? Is the concept. What ideas? Could be what's making you happy? What's making you sad? Is there anything that's disappointing you, or anything that's made you excited or anticipating something? So maybe there's an event or an occasion coming up, some type of celebration or a moment. Is that you have exams coming up that you're frantically studying for? Maybe there's some things for work, or some things at home that you're doing or planning on doing, considering doing. So it's a pretty open chat, pretty relaxed, I hope, pretty relaxed. So yeah, it is Tuesday, the 29th of March in most places. So when we broadcast this live, it's the 29th of March. If you're watching on the replay, hello. We have a record of the day when it is, I guess, the time in the world where I guess a couple days in the world since I mean, there's all the events that are happening in the world. We have what's the big news for a while now with the war happening in Ukraine and the events surrounding that, and people talking about how terrible war is and that sort of thing. And then we see demonstrations on live television of violence, that sort of thing. It's I just realized that maybe my microphone has been on. Maybe I've been speaking and you've not been hearing me. But hopefully now you can hear me, and that's a lot better, I think. Hopefully. Let me just. I need to. Okay, that should be even better now. Okay. Sometimes technology can get the better of us. So that's interesting. It's like when do you ever do that thing where you started doing an assignment and it's like you wrote all these things or you had all these details? I guess it's easier on a computer, but I guess it's possible like written down and stuff. And then it's like this is before the auto save and everything, or maybe the auto save was like quite a while, and then the computer just shuts down, and then you've got no you've got no record of what you see. It's been working for like 30 minutes, an hour, and you've got no record. You can't see anything. Or maybe like you had a paper and it's like it blew away, or it went into like water or something, and it's like it's gone down the river or something like that. That's how I'm feeling now. It's like it's gone. It's gone. So perhaps the first 5 minutes of this, there was no sound at all, and I was just talking, just like a speaking voice, as voices do, a speaking voice, and people going, "I can see you, but I can't hear you." Anyway, so I might, redo that little introduction there and say welcome, welcome, hello. If you would like to join this conversation, currently it's a conversation just with myself, but if you would like to join the conversation, you will see a link in the chat, in the comments. You can click on that and you can come through to the studio, and we can chat about whatever you think is worth chatting about today. Today being Tuesday, the 29th of March, 2022, in most places in the world. Of course, I think it's like in some Pacific Islands and New Zealand, I think it's already tomorrow, shall we say. It's already Wednesday. But that's okay. It's okay. Whatever day it is. So tell me, like I've written there, what's on your mind? What are you thinking? How's the week so far? Do you have any big plans for this week? Do you have any, exams that you're studying for, or things you need to do at work or at home that you're trying to complete today or by the end of the week? Something like that. Now, this program is called Have a Tea with Me. The channel is Lesson Jigsaw. If you would, if you're watching live, you can click on through and chat to us. But if you're watching this on the replay, hello, you may be thinking, Chris, 12 o'clock Universal Time is not good for me. I can't do that time because I'm sleeping, or I'm at work, or I'm having lunch, or whatever. It could be lots of different things. Maybe I'm at school, or I'm doing assignments, or I'm doing research for something at that time. I can't do that Monday to Friday. It's a lovely cup of tea. So maybe you're thinking that, and it's like, no problem. I get that. So you'll see running across the bottom, and also just down the bottom as well, you'll see an email address. So if you can send us an email, chat on lessonjigsaw@gmail.com. Let us know what time zone you're in, what you like to talk about, and just some general days and times when it might be better for you, and we can try and find a time to do a live stream with you. And yeah, we can do that. It's an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for you to practice and speak English. If you're here on the replay or later, you can always come through, say hi, write some sentences, practice practice what you want to say or do in English. Now, while it is just me talking to myself, I often talk about different types of stimulus or things to talk about. And so, like we say, you can always use things like newspapers, magazines, TV, or things you see on the TV, or even just what you notice around you in the real world. You can see different things and then talk about them. So the thing we most commonly use on here is their photos. And what we try and do is think of questions or question words. So you think of the question words and then the questions. So who, what, when, where, why, how, and any sort of question. If you think of those and consider those questions for whatever it is that you're seeing, and then you can go deeper and deeper, and the conversation develops as a normal conversation does. Okay, so the picture today is this. Now, I guess if we think of our question words, the most obvious question word, I suppose, is where is this? And I think I'm going to guess it's pretty obvious, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to say this is a library. Now, it might not be, but I think it is a library because it could be a hall of some sort. But it does certainly look in all the cabinets and the shelves above. Seems to be lots and lots and lots of books. And this could be a particularly historic library. So maybe it's a library in like a state or a regional or national library where they keep archives. I think archives is similar in other languages, isn't it? So they keep archives. So they keep archives in some libraries. So like a historical record. And I guess in the past, what they would do is, for some of the books, maybe some of the books were very precious or fragile. So maybe some of the books were very fragile, were very fragile. Maybe some of the books were very fragile and people had to use gloves. Gloves? No, gloves. So they had to put on a pair of gloves to access the books or use the books. You see that on TV shows sometimes. It was like a book from hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago even, I think. Books, sort of books. But a lot of the older books were then put onto like a film. So you could look at that film. What's that called? Microfiche, I think it was called. And other things, and see slides to look at the books. And you see that with newspapers as well, of course, don't you? You see newspapers where they have, you can see historical things. So you can, I think in some places they keep newspapers like for hundreds of years. So they've had the editions and then they just, I guess, computerize them or digitize them, or put them on some type of film. So you can pretty much access them, say for eternity, but for a very long time without damaging the original. So you have those sort of access in records. Now with this library, it does look to be sort of an older style library, but perhaps there is different sections where you can actually borrow the books. And I guess that's, generally speaking, that's the main purpose of the library, yeah, to borrow books. With the concept being you borrow the books, I don't know, in your country, how long can you borrow books for? How long can you borrow books for? Or let's say instead of books, let's say things. Because I guess most libraries these days, and for a long time, you've been able to borrow different things from the library. So you can borrow, CDs. It could be like music, or it could be like audio books, sort of CDs. You can borrow journals, sometimes magazines and newspapers. I've found you can only sort of look at in some libraries. You can't actually take them home or borrow them, but certainly you can look at them in the library. What else? I guess there are different sorts of different things. What else? Like videos, I guess was the other thing. So I'm saying CDs, so DVDs, all of those types of things. I think in some, I don't know. It's going to depend on every library, isn't it? I know some libraries would have like maps and things like that. Again, I don't think they could be taken home. Or could they? I don't know. I'm not sure. Because a lot of things are in the reference section. Or let's say, I think generally items in the reference section can't be borrowed. So in the reference section was when you had to go to the library and take the book or whatever, and then you have to take your notes and then put the book back into its place. And that, and I guess that was trying to make things fair for everyone. I guess maybe it's like a definitive book in a way, let's say. So it's like maybe like a type of encyclopedia of sorts, or an authoritative piece of work. And so they need lots of people to have access to that. But of course, these days, it's all, well, not all, but a lot of stuff is digital. So it's, you don't really need to physically go to a library for most things, I think, these days. You tell me, how many books do you, how often do you actually go to a library these days? I guess it depends, if how much access you have to other books. Because I know for some things, like with some, I don't know, let's say some online shops or websites, you can get access to books for free, or you have a membership with the shop or the retailer or whatever, and you can access different books for free with different memberships. But I guess that may depend on different countries. And of course, if you're studying at somewhere like university, those books can start to get quite expensive, especially when you have like a group of them that you need to use for your studies. So certainly that would be a reason to be in the library, to access those books if you can't buy them, like each individual one, or maybe you only really need to use certain sections or read it for one particular course, and you won't need it for anything else. So it can be not pointless, but it would be particularly good value. So let's get that down like that. So it might not be good value to purchase some books. I guess in the reference section, we could say you can have encyclopedias. You could have things like textbooks. I didn't do that right. And word. Anyway, so it could be textbooks, journals, things like that. Okay, but yeah, like we say, it might not be good value to actually purchase the book or to buy the book if you're going to use it for a very short amount of time. But of course, some people like to have a collection of books, and if it's like a novel, maybe they like to be able to reread it, so they would purchase it. But how long can you, if we go back to that question, how long can you borrow things for? And I think in every place where I've lived, it was always a case of you can borrow, I think it was books. Most books would be a month. I think a month, and then, but if it was things like a video or a CD, that would be a week. I believe it was a week. And with some libraries, you could renew online when they became, modern, let's say. You could renew online, so you didn't have to go back to the library to renew it. And I think with some libraries, you could only renew it once. So you could have a book and go there, renew it, and then you could have it 2 times, I think. And then I had to sort of like stay in the library for a little bit, something like that. Something like that. Something like that. My memory is a little hazy about all that. It might not be good. I don't know why they don't like that. Anyway, there's a space in there. Yeah, so something like that. So it's like it's an approximate memory, let's say. So the memory is a bit hazy. My memory is not very clear on everything to do with libraries. And of course, libraries can change over time, depending on the library and the place, of course. But yes, so certainly you could borrow some books for some time. And I guess the other thing was there would be a waiting list. You would say wait or waiting list. So it'd be a waiting list. So if you wanted to renew the book and there was someone waiting for the book on the waiting list, you couldn't renew it. And so you had to bring it back to the library. So I guess there's 2 questions for you. So how long can you borrow things or different things in the library where you are? First question. And then the second one is how much were the fines? And I guess that's the other little clincher for libraries. They always had the fines if you return the book or whatever it is late. And it was always I guess something amusing sometimes, because the fines could be something like clearing my throat again, sorry. The fines could be something like 5 cents a day or something like that, which is, 5 cents is still 5 cents. But it would be like, 5 cents a day. Like now, if you have like 10 books, and they're all late, okay, that's 50 cents. And then, okay, so that it adds up, I guess. If it's only one book or one, because I think it was books, they had one fine, and then it was like videos and CDs, that would be a different price. I can't really remember what the price for the fine was, but it was pretty small. But generally, I think most people, well, I guess it depends. It depends where you are. Now, this is when I'm talking about my examples. These are like community libraries, so libraries run by councils. Of course, there may be harsher fines in other places like universities and that sort of thing for different books. But I know some people would just sort of just return the books or whatever, and then just say, I'm not going to the library again for a while. Or they can try and delay. So some people would try and delay the payment of the fine. So the late fee for the book. This is interesting here. See here, it's giving me this little squiggly line, and it's giving me a suggestion. And I would assume the suggestion is for them to say, the better sentence structure would be some people would delay the payment of the fine because they try to make the sentence more or shorter, or contract the sentence. But I think it's also important to highlight something like this, because in English we do it's more for spoken situations, I guess, and of course I am speaking here. It is very common to say something and something, and try I think is very common. So I'll try and call you tomorrow, or I'll try and pick it up from the supermarket, or I'll try and remember. I will try and remember. Now you could also say, I will try to remember, but another way people would say is, I will try and remember to do the, to do the homework or something. But it is quite common to have two verbs together for different situations. But with try, I think it is even more common in spoken. Some people then go, okay, but it's not good to say try, because you shouldn't try, you should do, like in Star Wars, that sort of thing. But anyway, that's another thing. But certainly, yes, it's something to highlight. But anyway, back to the library and the books. Now, just before I actually do that, just a reminder, this is Have a Tea with me. I am having the tea. I hope you're having a tea as well. We are here for English conversation practice. I'm just talking at the moment because I'm the only one here. But we are here every day from Monday to Friday, 12 o'clock Universal Time. So if you want to, if you're learning English and you want to practice your speaking and conversation skills, you can come through and have a chat. So you'll see a link on Twitter. You can't see this, but certainly on Facebook and YouTube, you will see a link. If you click on that, you can come through to the studio and we can have a chat. And talk about whatever you talk about. So, but for the moment, and different days, I like to use different pictures as the basis or the stimulus for the conversation for that day. And today we're looking at a picture of a library. I know wow, library. But anyway, because got different topics, different days. You will see running across the bottom of the screen as well, you will see our email address, chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. If you'd like to find another time to do a live stream conversation or speaking practice class or session, you can send us an email and we can see if we can find a time that is suitable for you and for me. Let us know what time zone you're in and days and times that are more suitable for you. So chatonlessonjigsaw@gmail.com. So I guess the questions, what we want to know, thinking of libraries, how long could you borrow things for, or can you borrow things for in libraries around where you are? And there could be different types of libraries. And if you're late returning whatever the items are, how much are the fines? I put were the fines there, but how much are the fines that you would need to pay? So like I was mentioning, in the community libraries where I grew up, the fees were always pretty small, not the biggest fees, let's say. And so, like, if you look at the number, you'd sort of laugh. Sometimes the fees were not a deterrent, let's say, for people to keep a book for longer. The fees were not a deterrent. I think that's where I was going to say 1T for deterrent in the middle. And so a deterrent, to deter, means to stop you from doing something. So for example, if you see a place and there is, let's say, a heavy police presence, meaning there are a lot of police in that particular area. You'll see this, of course, in things like tourist areas, very commonly, but sometimes like in parks, squares, maybe near sort of shopping centers or shopping streets and that sort of thing. You'll see police walking around and that sort of thing. So there are like lots of police because they would be potential hotspots, let's say, hotspots for, in this case, let's say crime. I think maybe one word they want. Oh, hotspot, there you go, one word. So they want, so they put the police there so that it deters people or criminals from doing activities. So maybe people are pickpocketing and they go trying to steal wallets or something, or take things from people's bags. If they see lots of police around, it can make things much more difficult for them. So it can deter them, prevent them, stop them from doing that activity there, at least. So that's an example of a deterrent. And sometimes you'll also see things like, in theory, penalties are meant to be a deterrent. So like when they have, like when you get penalized if you're driving and you drive too fast, you're speeding, and you get caught, there can be different penalties. And it can be like graded for different amounts. Like if you're 5 minutes, that's 5 kilometers over, or miles over the speed limit, maybe the penalty is small relatively. But if you were like 20, maybe it's much bigger. And then 50, much bigger. And the penalty could be things like money, It could be things like going to jail or to prison, those sorts of things. It could also be, I, I guess, a lot of driver's licenses will have like points. So you will have like a certain amount of, you will have a little bit of grace, let's say, because everyone makes mistakes, and sometimes things are not perfect. So there's it allows room for mistakes. So um, different mistakes, let's say, will have different penalties. So maybe you have 10 points as an example. So if you speed 10 miles or 10 kilometers over the speed limit, maybe that's 1 point penalty. Or if it's 30, maybe it's 2 points as a penalty. And if you lose all your points, you lose the license or something like that. So those sorts of things are other examples of what can be deterrents. So to stop you from doing something. It's also things like in the way some companies structure their pay. And I guess that's all, it depends on the country and the legality of different things, but they can structure their pay so that, if there is a person, if a person comes in late, for example, they can take money out of their pay, to dock their pay, we could say. So to take money out of the pay. So you dock someone's pay. So to take money from their next wage or salary payment is basically the idea. So to dock someone's pay is to take money from their next wage or salary payment, or next one, or whichever one is relevant. Interestingly though, I think a lot of those same companies, when they take the money out for like if someone is late or whatever it may be, there's some places they will check if you arrive on time, or check in or whatever, clock in for the beginning of the working day or your shift or whatever it is. And then also like if you have a break, lunch break, that sort of thing. So they're checking all the times, or they check what time you're logged into the computer, things like that. But interestingly, I think a lot of those companies, no, not all, I'm sure, but a lot of those companies, when you work extra time, they don't pay more. They don't pay overtime. But I'd say, and depend on the company, of course. Different companies will do different things. So there's not it is what it is, let's say. It is what it is. But it's a curious thing. Anyway, so we're sort of getting distracted here. So the fine, anyway, for the library is meant to deter. So maybe like with places like universities, the penalties or the fines can tend to be higher and stronger, because I guess there's in some ways more pressure for people or for more people wanting the book. Whereas with, let's say, other schooling activities at different schooling levels, there can be other options. Whereas perhaps with the university, it has to be a specific book that people need to use or have access to, and that sort of thing. How quiet are the libraries that you go to? How quiet are they? I do remember that, and you see this like in movies and TV shows, the libraries were always meant to be, or historically were like quiet places So you couldn't really talk, or you had to whisper. You had to whisper in a library. Let's get that down. You have to whisper in a library. The whisper in our library. So speak with a very low voice. Everyone's concentrating and studying, so you can't make noise. You can't make noise. You might get asked to leave or something like that. So you can't make any noise in the library. But I know, and again, it depends on where and everything, so every place could be different. But I notice a lot of libraries during the day, there's a lot more possibility for noise. So a lot of libraries have, let's say, reading clubs and that sort of thing, or children's story time and things like that. And some libraries will have rooms where they can take all the kids in and stuff, and so they can do it there. So the rest of the library can still be pretty quiet, but other libraries don't have as many facilities, let's say. So it would be out in the open. So you just had to know what times the children's reading hour would be, and different age groups will have different noise levels, let's say, because sometimes they can get the kids really excited with different stories, which is great. It's good for kids to be interested in reading and books and learning about different things. So that's all a fun thing. So it's just a matter of you just need to adapt to all of those things. But yeah, it's a curious thing. But also lots of libraries, I think, have different sort of special events. So they may have like an author come in and talk about something, or just have like a group of people talk about a particular topic somehow related to books or whatever particular theme, or just using some facilities as a community space where people can meet. And so maybe they can, I don't know, book a room or hire a room and that sort of thing. Also, I guess it's a place where people can print. I guess things are a little bit different nowadays as well. It's much easier to find places to print, and the cost of things like computers and laptops, you can find them at all different sorts of price ranges, and because time has gone on, there are lots of older models for things which can still be used, maybe not as fast as other computers and things like that, but you can find older models relatively cheaply, so you can still do something. And so for a long time, you could go to the library to use the computers, or sometimes you had to book the computers to use. Also, some libraries, I remember at the beginning when the internet started, you could go and use the internet in the libraries. And if you didn't have, again, connections are different the way they are now, and how easy it is to get connected to the internet. And it was different, of course, with smartphones being able to connect almost anywhere. But you go and book the internet computer, or an internet computer, to use in the library. So there's lots of different, I guess, facilities and options. Lots of people I would see as well in some libraries go there to read the daily newspapers. So instead of buying a newspaper every day, they can actually save quite a bit of money by just going to the library and reading through the newspapers. It it was a interesting thing. And they would then keep a record of those papers. Those papers would come with I think normally like a stick or something, so it was difficult to, you couldn't like stick it in your bag and steal it, and that sort of thing. So yes. Okay, so they're my questions, I guess, for the day, talking about libraries, facilities, and I guess access to books, materials, and I guess the atmosphere in different libraries as well. You can let us know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. You can let us know in the comments what you're thinking about those sorts of things. A reminder: this is Have a Tea with Me, every day, 12 o'clock Universal Time, Monday to Friday. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all those sorts of things. We're going to leave it there for today. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to leave your comments and thoughts about what we've talked about today, or what I've talked about today, I guess, but you know what I mean. And we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day. Stay healthy, happy, all of those things, and we'll see you next time.